Welcome to the Pacific Coast Cutting Horse Association. Hi, I'm Randy Corley. Today we're going to see what it's like to step up and to compete against some of the best riders and horses in the nation. And maybe, together, we'll learn something. But one thing I know for sure is that when you see what these horses and riders are really all about, you'll know that the Pacific Coast Cutting Horse Association is second to none. You know, in every event I've ever seen, a horse and a rider communicate with a good bit and a strong set of reins. Then with a little added leg pressure, you can control the turning, the stopping, the acceleration, and the balance. Have you ever wondered what would happen if you took away the reins? Would that horse still give 100%? The object of cutting is to cut or to separate a cow away from the herd. Once the cut's been made, the rider must drop their hand and give the horse free rein. Then the horse alone must keep that cow from returning. The requirement that a cutting horse perform without the use of reins makes cutting one of the most intense of all equestrian sports. Today, cutters compete for nearly $20 million, but it wasn't always that way.
Cutting really is sort of a dramatization of some real work, and it's pretty close to it. But when the very beginning, when the cutting horse first started, what he was a pretty special horse in a cowboy string, because he would work a cow. And they'd have to gather cattle, and they'd make a big circle, and you'd have a big circle horse to go out there and gather them. He'd have to have a lot of stamina. But when they got all the cattle together and all the different ranchers running their cattle together on this open range, well, they'd have to sort out the cattle. There's mine over here, and yours in that herd over there, and Joe's over here in a third herd. So they'd get their special horse, and they'd bring him in there, and they'd sort out all these cattle, and they'd part pairs, and they'd get 3 different herds going, and the horse that they used to do that on, he was their cutting horse, and he was special to them.
Back then, things were pretty simple. No rules, regulations, or stopwatches. But now cutting has evolved into a highly sophisticated sport where even a split-second mistake may cost the winning run.
Cutting starts with a herd of cattle maintained by 2 herd holders. Horse and rider enter the herd and separate a cow. 2 turnback horses out front help contain the cow in a favorable working area, but only the horse and rider are judged. Each horse enters the arena with 70 points. From there, they are penalized or awarded points accordingly. Once a cow is separated, the rider must drop the reins and not pick them up again until it's time to get another cow. Quitting a cow when the going gets tough is known as a hot quit and brings a 3-point penalty. A rider can only get the next cow after their cow either turns away from the horse or stops moving and stands still. Reining a horse, no matter how subtle, is a 1-point penalty. A horse losing working advantage, called a miss, is a 1-point penalty. A horse working too close to the herd, causing other cattle to flush out, is a 3-point penalty. And every cutter's fear, losing a cow, is a 5-point penalty. Often, 3 cows are used in the 2.5 minutes allowed, but it's only mandatory to make 2 cuts. The object is to show that the horse can control the cow, and preferably keep the cow working in the center of the pen.
You know, a cutter won't win a trophy like this or take home the prize money by making mistakes. It takes them precision timing in a horse that's an outstanding athlete. But then to make things even a little more difficult, the judges may have their own favorite qualities.
He can gain points by being correct, staying on his rear end, bending in his hocks, stopping straight in the ground, leading with his nose, and just being correct.
It starts with the way a man or a woman makes the cut initially, whether it's a nice, clean, quiet, everything's very well controlled situation. And then from there, it's loose reins, or the way the horse stops, the speed of the cow, the ability that the cow's threatening to the horse, you know. I like to see a contestant that really demonstrates a tremendous amount of horsemanship and showmanship. I think that's important because you're looking at the overall picture.
When people began in the league that you were in, and yourself included, there wasn't a lot of money to be made going down the road.
Very little. But again, you know, you may go to a show and maybe the purse was $125. but then the entry fee would be $25 plus $5 cattle charge.
And expenses of getting there.
Oh, absolutely. Always
you didn't
had
stand
that.
to make any money. Why would you keep going to
Well,
this?
it was just the love of the thing, just the love of the cut, you know, and the cowboy in you, you know.
Cutting horses have been specifically bred to possess the instinct necessary to work cattle. It's been said that nearly any horse can be trained to stop when a cow stops and turn when the cow turns. But only the truly great horses have the desire to perform and the instinct to anticipate. Watch closely, and you'll see that the moves of a great cutting horse perfectly imitates those of the cow, almost like looking in a mirror.
The Pacific Coast Futurity is the last show of the year we go to before the big Futurity in Fort Worth, Texas. And I think it's great that it's at the end of the year because it's my favorite show. So you look forward all year to coming here. And we travel everywhere from there in Texas to Augusta, Georgia, and Memphis, which is now actually the Memphis Futurity, but it's in Tunica, Mississippi. And we go all over the United States showing. And this is my favorite show. It's a long day drive out here, 2 long days to get here. But once you get here, it's well worth it. The grounds here are awesome. There's great stalls, great arenas for the horses. The weather is wonderful. The atmosphere is great. The committee is outstanding. It's one of the few cuttings that we go to that you really feel like they want you here. And if you have any problems or questions, they're there to assist you.
Thanks for taking the time to become better acquainted with the Pacific Coast Cutting Horse Association. We hope you've enjoyed meeting some of the horses and many of the outstanding members, but most of all, we hope we have a chance to see you somewhere down the road. And maybe, just maybe, we'll see you in the show pen.